Good evening, friends, and welcome to the second session on COVID 19 Facts from Science, Medicine, and Psychology by Dr. Roy Pereira, SG. I've already given the introduction to Dr. Roy yesterday, so I'm not going to repeat it once again. And so I hope we will directly start today. And we have tried our best to change something so that hopefully your experience of viewing would be a much better one than yesterday. So over to you, Dr. Roy.
Good evening to all of you from India, and good morning to all those in the US. A warm welcome to the second session of COVID-19 Facts from Science, Medicine, and Psychology. Thanks to Arun and Sumit and the whole Bombay media team for doing this good initiative. So yesterday, I think there was a spectrum of people listening in, and there were some doctors also. And one or two of them would have liked to spend more time on the technical part, but I think a large majority of you were found that it was accessible to you all. And so I am going to be a little less technical and more application based today for this second part of the talk. Let us start with a brief summary for those who are not there yesterday. And it's also good for those who were there yesterday to be able to refresh our minds. So we began with the science of epidemiology, and we looked at the time frames of the epidemics, most of them around 2 years, and how it can be useful for us when we ourselves are planning ahead for the next 6 months or 1 year. Then we came to the second part where we spoke of how the psychological effects play a role on our immune system. And in particular, we focused on the whole aspect of stress. And when we were speaking of stress, we saw the development of stress in the last 85 years and how this non-specific physiology affects the human being. So stress was first supposed to be outside of us, then it was inside of us. It could be the type A driven personality. It could be a lonely person. It could be affect an angry person. Stress also moved into HIV, cancer, and to caregivers. Some of the take home that we took yesterday was stress is not just in your mind. It has physical effects. And so it cannot be dismissed loosely as has been done previously. Oh, that is just psychosomatic. Of course, it is psychosomatic. And the very meaning means both the body and the psyche and the mind are very much interconnected, and therefore they have a role. So the question that we were left with yesterday was, yes, stress affects the body, but is it scientifically proven or is it just speculation? And that question is valid. Because even in medical circles, while scientists grudgingly came to accept that stress has cardiovascular effects, and yes, maybe it infects the stomach and the intestines, but they believed that the immune system was autonomous and could not be affected from outside or could not be affected by our emotions or thoughts. And therefore, I'd like to start with a few slides which give us an idea of the brain and how the brain, or what we would say, the thinking patterns affects the body, the mind affects the body, and how it affects the brain. So On this slide on your screen, you see three nervous systems, and all of us are probably familiar with this from our high school biology. There is the central nervous system, which consists of three major parts: the brain, and there you see all the subparts of the brain, the spinal cord, okay, and then the retina. And I've said that it really is a part of the central nervous system. The second nervous system is the peripheral nervous system, and that's basically the interface between the central nervous system and the environment. Okay, there is also the interplay between the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. And I'm not going to go into details in this particular lecture, but there are many of my lectures where I've explained this in detail. So you can probably check it out there. You can check out my YouTube channel, Father Roy Pereira SJ, for more videos and talks. So the central nervous system and the peripheral. The peripheral is the connection with the environment. But there's still a third nervous system, which many people do not know about or are not aware, or think it doesn't play a big role. And that is, any guesses there? The third nervous system is known by a simple three-letter word in English. And that word is gut, G-U-T. Now, because scientists don't like to get away with just simple words, they like to use a big word. And so the actual scientific word is the enteric nervous system, which you see there on your screen. So the enteric nervous system is basically our whole intestinal and the whole gut section, which is also considered to be part of the nervous system. So as I mentioned yesterday, what we think in our minds affects that, especially the gut area. And I gave examples of children who need to go to the bathroom when they are going to prepare for elocution competition or going to be on stage for drama, etc. Or sometimes there is exam nervousness, and at that time, one would need to visit the bathroom often, or maybe diarrhea, or we have the effects on the other parts of the body. So our thinking affects the body in so many different ways. And even if we do not have major anxiety issues, a little bit of anxiety creates sometimes what we call butterflies in the stomach. So there is an actual, the thinking is actually producing a physical effect. So the thinking affects the body. Now, here, of course, you see the slide of the 4 parts of the brain, and there are various subsections there in the brain, and how these together make up our thinking systems. It is thanks to the technology that we came out in the 90s that we have the PET scan and the fMRI scans, which helped us to look deep into the brain and find out what is happening there, even in healthy brains. Because till then, doctors could only really look at accident victims and their brains when the skull was crushed, or maybe psychological, psychotic cases that needed certain brain interventions. But after the 90s, we have equipment which allows us to look into the healthy brain without getting into the brain. And this has helped us to see how our thinking affects even the brain. Okay, so here we come to a study that was done twice nearly, and this study is of the taxi driver's brain. Now, this was done in the UK, in London, and as you know, the streets of London are all curvy and go round and round, and because it's an old city, okay, you have the streets unplanned. Unlike, of course, New York, where after the fire in the late 19th century, when the whole city was practically burnt, they redesigned it so that the streets are very systematic. You have avenues and you have streets, and it's as if it's on a grid, and it's very easy to move from one to the other, but not in UK. And therefore, the taxi drivers in UK, okay, they examined their brain, and they found that because they had to really understand roadways, they had to understand the whole map. Please note, I'm talking about before the days of GPS. It was the older days when you had to ask for directions, or you had to look at a map and you had to learn the routes. And so they looked at that portion of the brain which would be called our GPS, and that is the hippocampus. So the hippocampus is the GPS of our brain. And just as the GPS helps us to plan a trip and to see where we are going, the hippocampus also allows us to do that planning. And that is the body's GPS. So as you see in the slide there, the initial route planning of the hippocampus. And then, of course, you have other parts like the retrocranial cortex, seeing expected landmarks, streets, and destination. Oh, I've been there before. And then on the other side, you have the anterior prefrontal cortex. It's a spontaneous route planning. Example, if you need to make a diversion. So if you're going somewhere and there's a containment area and the roads are blocked, then you have to decide what is the other route that I take. And of course, you have the right lateral prefrontal cortex, seeing unexpected features, blocked off a road, etc. And then the medial prefrontal cortex, tracking distance to destination. So what they found out was that the hippocampus in these taxi drivers was much larger than the general population. And so the conclusion was arrived at was because they were using that hippocampus more than the general population, therefore they had a larger hippocampus. But then it came down to a much more deeper fact that yes, our thinking is affecting the brain, and is affecting it not just psychologically, but it is affecting it physically. So there are actual physical changes taking place in the brain when you are thinking. Now, of course, this is good news and this is not so good news. So the good news, of course, is that then I do have some control over my body. And therefore, it all the more puts the onus on me that I have to be careful of what I am thinking, because that thinking is going to affect the body. And therefore, when we are talking in the light of COVID-19, the emphasis on a positive outlook, okay, an emphasis on optimism, an emphasis on not allowing the anxiety and fear to get the better of you. Yesterday, I had asked you to list down some of the stressors in your life, and many of you said, would my job be there? What about my financial situation? For some, the stressors was the whole uncertainty of it all. For some, it was their health issues. For others, it was relationship issues, both at home, with the spouse, with children. You are cooped up together now for nearly 2 or 3 months. Okay, there's no exit plan. And then also maybe with all the politics that goes on in the office setup. So all these anxious thoughts are there, and we need not deny it. They are there and they are a fact of life. Okay, but what do I do to have a control on that? Another major area is when we keep living in the past. Okay, so our guilt, our worries, oh, this happened, and maybe if this hadn't happened, etc., then things would have been better. So in the past is our memories. And of course, all of us know we have good memories and we have memories that we would rather eliminate. But it is important to give a more development to your good memories and allow that part of the brain to become bigger and allow the other memories to fade off or to atrophy, using a physical term. So when we are talking of memories, it could be maybe I've done this, maybe I've done that, and I'm guilty. Okay. So the other thing that happens with memories or with something that has affected you. So maybe you've had a fight in the morning with your boss, and then after that, the whole day, your mind is working. Oh, I should have said that. How could he be that to me? And maybe I should have said this, and maybe. So the fight is over in the morning, but the fight carries on in your mind like a cassette player of old, which keeps on playing, or a record player which is stuck, and you have the same part playing again and again in your mind. So memories are important. What we need to do is to allow them to uh, flourish if they are good and to diminish. I'm going to take a break here and offer you the song titled Memories from the musical Cats. And for those of you who know it, of course, you will be able to enjoy it further. For those who've not heard it before, maybe this is some song that you'd like to keep on your iPod or your phone. But basically, I'm not going to sing the words, but it's just going to be an instrumental. And one of the things that help us in our stress management is music. So it is important to have your set of good songs which make you happy, which uplifts you. It could be gospel music, it could be any other music, but something that makes you happy. And these are the go-to songs that you will go to when your mind is stressed with a lot of facts, either of the past or of the future. And this, therefore, music has been proven to have a calming effect, because again, it releases a lot of serotonin, the dopamines, the neurotransmitters in the brain, the hormones in the brain, which make you feel happy, which make you feel good. So find what makes you feel good in your music, okay? And either you can play it on your phone, or you can listen to it on a good system, or maybe if you are a musician, you can actually play it on the piano or the guitar. If you are a singer, you can sing it. And so music has a way of calming us down. And maybe we would need to use this a number of times in the coming months ahead, as we sort of either are in lockdown or just getting out of lockdown. So I invite you to take a relaxed position, okay, to be calm and cool. You may want to keep your arms outstretched on your laps, and allow the music to touch you and to experience the calming effect of the music. So, music is one of the ways in which we can reduce the stress in our lives. The other way is meditation. And I'll just show you the starting screen. Okay, so as you see on the screen, meditation is described as practices that self-regulate the body and the mind, thereby affecting mental events by engaging a specific attentional set. Meditative styles can be classified into two. So one is concentration on one object, and it could be a photo of a deity that you believe in. It could be a photo of God. It could be a lovely picturesque scene, and you're focusing on that. Or it could be a candle. It could be remaining before the Blessed Sacrament. So these are all concentrative styles of meditation where you choose one object and you focus on it. And just the process of doing that allows the monkey brain, the chattering that goes on in our brain. As you know, and all of us have experienced this, our mind is either in the past or in the future. It jumps from the past to the future, jumps from worry to fear. It jumps from guilt to anxiety. And therefore, what meditation is trying to do is to focus the mind on the present, to let us be in the present. Now, therefore, meditation can be done using a number of techniques. As I said, you choose what works best for you. And whatever works best for you on a particular day may not work best for you on another day. So you can vary it. Sometimes it's a picture, sometimes it's going to the Blessed Sacrament, sometimes it's a candle, sometimes it's just being by the seaside, or sometimes it is just listening to music. Now, here again, when listening to music, it needs to be instrumental, calming music, not music that is going to further agitate you. The other part of meditation, I said concentration is one. The other is awareness exercises. So in awareness exercises, it is basically you are scanning through the body and you are becoming aware of all the sensations that the body is throwing up as you go through the body from head to toe like a scanner. And you're just becoming aware. You're not making a judgment. You're not trying to analyze that. You're just becoming aware. Okay, I am feeling some itching in that part of the body, or I'm feeling a tingling sensation, or I can feel my back touching the chair behind. So just awareness, you don't stick on that, you just go down to a lower part of the body, and then you start again from the head to the toe. So this is an awareness meditation. For those of you who have access, you can do this comes from our tradition of the Buddhist meditation, the Vipassana meditation. It's a 10-day course. If any of you can do that, it's really helpful. So That is the body meditation, becoming aware of the going scanning through the body. So, as I said, you choose what meditation you would like. Now, again, here, science has proved that the actual benefits of meditation, it's not just a feel good factor. Let me just jump a few slides to show you the meditation. So some of the changes here reported are a deep sense of calm and peacefulness, the cutting down of chatter in the mind, perceptual clarity, and connection that merges with the object of meditation, whether it be an image or a phenomenal experience as the focal point. So definitely some other changes are abiding sense of calm, greater sense of comfort, heightened awareness of the sensory field, including a different way of perceiving the relationship between thoughts, feelings, and experience of self. So basically, one experiences in meditation a fusing of oneself with the whole world. We feel one. That fragmentation which we are so used to in our modern fast-paced life allows us to get centered, get calm and peaceful. So I'm going to invite you for just a brief time to meditate, and this time we'll choose our breath. So the breath is an important aspect where we can focus on our meditation. We don't need an external player. We don't need a music system. We don't need our eyes. It's just the breath. So close your eyes, sit in a relaxed meditative position. Your palms may be open or joined at the tips. And feel yourself being calm, peaceful, totally at ease, totally relaxed. If any distracting thoughts come into your mind, just gently push it away and say, later. Now focus on your breath. Take 2 or 3 deep breaths as if you are sighing. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Feel yourself experiencing a sense of calm and peacefulness. Remember, distractions will come. Don't fight it, just gently push it away and allow yourself to be focused. There is an old Buddhist saying, the mind is like 1,000 elephants gone wild in the jungle. And our minds are like that. The main task is to keep coming back to what you are focusing on. Being in the present, not being in the past, nor in the future. Okay, I'm going to bring you back into the room. I hope you've not fallen asleep. And if you do fall asleep during meditation, that's okay. Just as if you fall asleep during prayer, that's okay. God understands. So, if you fall asleep, it means that your body needed the rest. But of course, meditation is not meant to always fall asleep. Okay, it is meant to focus and bring us in the present. And it is a special useful tool when we are beginning to get anxious, nervous, etc. So meditation helps us at that point in time. So let us look at some of the So of course, there are a lot of EEG studies, fMRI studies done on meditation. Okay. So another point to remember is to always put the things that we want in the positive rather than in the negative. Whatever change that you're trying to bring about in your behavior, if you have a worrying brain, a nervous brain, okay, put things in the positive. Try and see the glass half full rather than half empty. So some of the psychological issues during this time in the coming months could be frustration, anger, self-doubt, depression, suicidal tendencies, domestic violence. May is the month of mental health, and already a lot of research is being done on how the COVID-19 has been affecting us psychologically. And there are a lot of serious problems coming out. Some of these are there on the slide. Okay, whether it be domestic violence or even depression, suicidal tendencies, the whole uncertainty of it all. And so therefore all these are going to affect our immune system if you allow it to. And therefore it is important to have a whole toolkit within you to boost up your immune system so you're able to live a healthier life. And you're able to, yes, there are going to be problems. We don't have money in our pockets, like we sang in the song yesterday, Side by Side. But we are able to focus our mind on the present and what is it that I can do. And most of all, we think of the blessings that we have. So besides, besides the fact of music, besides the fact of meditation, a third good area is to use the attitude of gratitude. Keep counting all the blessings that you have. If you at least have food on the table, say thank God for that. If you have clothes on your back, if you have a house to live in where you can keep social distance, say thank you to God for that. Try and do at least twice a day, afternoon and night. St. Ignatius calls it the examen. In simple words, it's the gratitude prayer. Think of all the things that you are grateful for and keep that coming. That helps to at once lessen our anxiety. Then in terms of nutrition, okay, it is important to have good nutrition, fresh alkaline food to build up a good protein base, to reduce on snacky substances, on unhealthy substances. During this time, you should not sacrifice your nutrition. You should not be thinking of keeping a slim, skinny figure like all the models, because this is not the time for that. We are in a certain stressful period. We have to acknowledge that. The fourth area is an attitude of serenity. And the best prayer for that is the prayer used by a lot of recovery groups, Alcoholics Anonymous, etc. And the prayer goes like this: Lord, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. What you should keep working on and what you should let go. The attitude of serenity allows us to go through difficult times. So, some of the other factors, of course, which are very important are physical exercise. And I cannot stress this enough. A lot of people tell me, oh, I don't have time to do exercise. The day is busy. That is no excuse. Especially in these times, you need to get some sort of physical exercise, whether it is home or on your terrace or in the compound down. So in neuroscience, we've studied a lot about the benefits of exercise. And all of us know that exercise, okay, ramps up the blood, okay, and the blood circulation goes to different parts of the body. It releases a lot of feel-good chemicals like serotonin, dopamine, etc. Okay, and it also helps us to get a good night's rest. So exercise is very important, and we know that good physical exercise is good for the body. But neuroscience has revealed something startling. Yes, good exercise, physical exercise, good for the body, and a lot of brain exercises are good for the brain. And so you're playing Sudoku, crossword puzzles, maybe learning a new language, maybe learning something new, getting a new educational degree, or just reading for the sake. It keeps the brain also active. It results in the formation of new neuronal cells and what is called adult neurogenesis, that we can recreate parts of the brain even in our adult life. I like to use the phrase, it's never too late to learn the piano. So take up something new. Good brain exercise is good for the brain. But I'm not done yet. What is even more startling is while body exercise is good for the body, brain exercise is good for the brain. What has been also proven is that body exercise is also good for the brain. So, very often when we have a good run, we have a good swim, okay, we play a good game. After that, we really feel good. And a lot of our tensions and anxieties seem to lessen. And so, it is not just in your mind. Good physical exercise is needed for the body as well as for the brain. And it helps in alleviating some of the problems that we put there on our slide earlier: depression, suicidal tendencies, etc. So, importance of exercise. Now, besides your cardio exercise, which we've been talking about, some sorts of weight exercises are also important. And of course, stretching. Stretching is very important, whether you do yoga, whether you Pilates, or any sort of stretching. So these are some of the tools that one can build. There's the physical tools of exercise, yoga, stretching, cardio, and of course, there are the mental tools. And above all, to keep anxiety as bay, as I said, there's music, there's meditation, okay? There is a changing in the attitude, okay? And to try and see, okay, I need to make a shift, a paradigm shift in the attitude that is there. I need to be grateful for all the things that I have. Uh, a lot of some of the questions that also came up yesterday, and moving on to uh, the whole question of why is it that some people get the virus and some people don't get the virus? Or even if you get the virus, then they are asymptomatic, or they may show mild symptoms, whereas some others show very strong symptoms and might result in serious critical nature of the illness. A lot of this depends on what we are calling now the immune system. So yes, there are morbid factors, and we already know, physiologically speaking, that someone with diabetes, hypertension, okay, people above a certain age, maybe above 70, are more prone to getting the virus. And those are physiological factors. But there are also the psychological factors, which in a way is physiological because ultimately they are affecting the immune system. And therefore, in planning for the next 6 months, the next 1 year, okay, we need to be aware of this whole gamut of factors: your physical conditions, okay, again, family, genetics, hereditary, all play a role, as well as the non-physical conditions, the psychological conditions that you will be facing during this time ahead. Of course, as you begin to step out of your house, we cannot emphasize enough all that you've already been doing in terms of sanitize your hands when you're out, uh, make sure you wear a mask, keep social distance. Okay, when you come back, make sure you wash all the clothes that you've been outside. Okay, and of course, make sure your interactions are minimized. But one very important fact is also being sensitive to your usage. So consumption should decrease at this point. We cannot carry on living life as we did before. Okay, everything's back to normal, and we spend and we destroy the environment. No, one thing that COVID-19 has told us is that our lifestyle pattern needs to change. So there is this: reduce your consumption, reduce all that you are doing. If you can do it less, do that. Reduce, reuse many things. You don't have to have a new set of clothes every year. Reuse things at home, your paper, etc. So reduce, reuse, recycle. And then also make sure that in this you are going to be helping the environment. As we go back, as we get out of the lockdown, there are so many facets that we need to take care of. It is the environment, it is our own consumption pattern, it is our psychology, it is our physiology, it is the attitude that we are having. I'm going to end now with a song, and the song is Hope, Faith, and Love. Okay, many of you have heard it. It is also available on my YouTube channel. And for those of you who have not visited, please, this is a commercial break. Please visit my YouTube channel, like, subscribe, notifications, all the sort of things that all these youngsters tell you to do. So I will be putting up more videos there also as we go along. And so please make use of that. But the song that I'm going to play before you is basically Hope, Faith, and Love. And it keeps telling us to have hope no matter how bad the situation is. Okay? And I would like you, before I sing the song, to focus on one or two things that are uppermost in your mind at present, that are worrying you, okay, that are troubling you. Is there something in your life that's not going right? Is there something that you'd like to change? Is there something in your life that makes no sense? Do you feel like just giving up? Are there times in your life when you've had enough? Are there times the clouds seem all black? Are there days in your life when there seems no way? Are there nights when life seems a cross? Hope, faith, and love's what keeps life moving on. Hope, faith, and love, that's what life's all about. Hope, faith, and love, my friend, will see us through. So think of something that is troubling you and allow the song to calm you down. Allow your own mental attitude of hope, faith, and love to resurrect in you a positive, optimistic feeling. Just yesterday, my Jesuit companion, Father Nicky, sent me a piece which says, if you smile, it produces as much happiness as having 200 chocolate bars. The simple thing like a smile. So you can check out that research. 200 chocolate bars, the equivalent of a smile, because it generates the same amount of serotonin, dopamine, and feel-good chemicals in the brain. So simple thing like smiling can be added to your repertoire to prevent you from going into depression or doubt or anger. So let us then listen to the song, and I've already said the words, so we're not going to keep the words up for you. But what I want you to even get into the mood of the song. And after that, I will be taking questions on the chat. And even if you're in YouTube, don't worry. Sumit will be sending the questions to me on Zoom. So let us again calm ourselves, put ourselves in a peaceful state of mind, and allow a sense of calm to overcome us, and truly believe that, yes, Lord, we are going through difficult times. We are going through uncertainty. But yes, we don't know what the future holds for us, but we know who holds the future. And therefore, we put all our trust in you. We put all our faith in you. We put all our hope in you, Lord, because you hold our future. And that's all we need to know. If you are a religiously inclined person, keep in touch with your church group, your faith group. Keep in touch with your friend circle during these difficult times. And maybe if you have not been in a faith circle or not been in a group of spirituality, and you feel a certain calling to join the group, try out some group for your spiritual needs, for your religious needs, because this also has been proven to help the immune system. Of course, it's not just a business-like venture. It is ultimately connecting with our deepest selves. Is there something in your life that's not going right? Is there something that you'd like to change? Is there something in your life that makes no sense? Do you feel like just giving up? Are there times in your life when you've had enough? Are there times the clouds seem all black? Are there days in your life when there seems no way? Are there nights when life seems a cross? Oh, faith and love's what keeps life moving on. Oh, faith and love, that what's life's all about. Oh, faith and love, my friends, will see us through. Yes, there were times in my life too, days when I had enough, but hope just kept me going on, hope in a God of love. Oh, faith and love just keeps life moving on. Oh, faith and love, that what's life's all about. Oh, faith and love, my friends, will see us through. Hope, faith, and love, my friends, in a God who loves. Thank you. I'll hand the mic over to Arun.
Roy, you could take the questions on the chat.
Okay. Uh, okay. So the first question is, do meditation, prayers, music trigger the immune system? Okay, if yes, no, which one, innate or adaptive immunity or both? Okay, so I think from what I've said, yes, the basically whatever is going on in your mind, our thoughts have an effect on the immune system. So when we are doing meditation, what are we trying to do? We are trying to limit our thoughts. We are trying to get rid of the monkey brain. We can't do that because the brain abhors a vacuum. But what we are trying to do is to allow the mind to come down to a more peaceful state. So there are four types of brain waves. The first is the beta, and that's normally between it is between, 7 to 15 hertz. And then we come to the alpha stage, which is much less. So our normal way of going about is at the beta range, the busy mind, the mind that is always running from one thing to the other. When we do meditation, prayers, music, we allow ourselves to go through the deeper level of the alpha stage in the brain waves. And it is that stage, okay, which allows the immune system to heal, which allows the immune system to get better. So yes, all thoughts, whether it be meditation, prayer, music, your thinking, all thoughts are affecting. And therefore, we need to realize that, and we need to have a control of our thoughts. What is it that we are putting in our minds? Okay, so maybe I'll just give you a quick example. So when you set out to make your garden, those of you who have land, okay, you decide what you want to sow in that garden. So you'll sow flowers, you'll sow this, you'll sow that. And of course, sometimes the weed comes up, and therefore you go and remove the weeds. So think of your mind as a garden. You can decide what you're going to sow in that garden. Are you going to sow beautiful flowers, fruits, etc.? So you're going to enjoy the mind? Or are you going to sow negative thoughts, anger, emotion, frustration? Is that filling your mind? So you can decide what you sow in your garden. And whatever you sow, so will you reap. And if you sow beautiful thoughts, you will reap beautiful thoughts, which will have an effect on the whole immune system. If you sow negativity, anxiety, fear, that is also going to have an effect. I want to just take a point here. When I've spoken about the effects of the mind on the body, this information is for you only. And this is for you to take a call of whether I'm having negative thoughts, anxiety. It is not for you to become a doctor and then try to either diagnose other people or judge other people. So if someone tells you that you've got back pain or something like that, you cannot say, oh, you're thinking negative thoughts or you're worrying about something. That is not your job. Whatever I've told you is for your own sake. Is it true? Is it not true? If it's not true, then yes, all sicknesses and diseases have also got either a bacterial origin or a virus origin or something. There could be something physical. Okay, so when I'm telling you all this about how the mind affects the body, it is not for you to point fingers or to judge or to diagnose anyone else. Okay, it is for your own thing to find out whether is this cause physical, or is it something that I need to look at my mind, my psyche, and maybe, and that you can change. You have a control over that. You may not have a control over a germ or a virus attacking you, but you have a control of what you put in your mind. So let us please put pleasant thoughts into our garden of our mind so that we may reap pleasant fruits. Okay, another question. Okay. How do you differentiate if a person is going through normal stress or severe stress these days? So, as I said yesterday, normal, there is a certain amount of stress that is there in our lives, and it is good. So that word is called eustress, EUSTRESS. So eustress is good for us. It helps us to perform. It helps us to meet deadlines. It helps us, we've been procrastinating. Oh, I'm going to study. I'm going to study. I'm going to do that assignment. I'm going to do, and we keep pushing it off, pushing it off. Last minute, when the due date is there, that stress that is triggered helps us to finish that assignment, hopefully. Okay, so That is good stress and that is normal stress is there. Severe stress or chronic stress. So severe stress could be at the moment, okay, that's also called acute stress, or there is called chronic stress, which is continuously. So acute stress is suddenly you're driving and someone comes in front of you, you get very stressed up. Okay, that can go. But acute chronic stress is what we are going to looking for in this COVID-19 outbreak, okay, because of the time period. And that is to how to differentiate that is basically, is it hampering your regular everyday work? Is it making you go into like a depression? I don't feel like doing anything. Okay, I just want to sit on the couch and binge on Netflix or something like that. Wow. Okay, I don't feel like doing, I know there's so many jobs that I get. And oh, wow, this is the COVID period. I'm all at home. I'm not traveling. I'm saving time on travel. And still, I'm not able to complete what I thought I could. So then that is moving on to chronic stress, which then could lead to depression and anxiety, etc. So that's the difference between normal stress and severe stress. Okay, the next question is, how about herd immunity? Okay, and how can we achieve herd immunity, and is it possible? And how can it be good when there are babies and older people who usually have weaker immunities? So this is a very good question, because yes, when you're talking of herd immunities, we are factoring into the equation that some people are gonna go, okay, and some people are gonna get it, and the rest of the herd, the rest of us hopefully are gonna be well. So herd immunity is, okay, as more and more people get the disease, and as you see, the figures of those who have recovered is also very positive. So when you get anxious about whether you're going to get the COVID once you move out of lockdown, also know that, there are a lot of people, and in some places, 98% of the people have recovered. Okay, so there is, it could be just a little more than a normal flu and a cold. So therefore, that is another positive thing. Now, coming to herd immunity, yesterday we spoke of the antibodies that are created once you get, and more research is showing that if you do get, it's not finalized as yet, but if you do get COVID, there is a good chance that you're not going to get it again. Okay, based also on how other viruses have acted in the past. So as more and more people get it and they go out into the system, then that is what is called building the herd immunity. And as I said, what I've shared with you today is building your own immunity. Okay, you cannot do much about the herd immunity. That takes care by itself. Nature takes care of by itself. And yes, in this whole thing, therefore, when we are talking of moving out of lockdown, those who have a weaker immunity, those who have children, etc., have to consider the fact of how is that going to play out. So just because the lockdown is removed doesn't mean all of us get out of the house. You have to take that call yourself. Okay, there is another question here. What are the different other ways of relaxing ourselves? I think this I don't need to answer. Maybe all of you know how to relax yourselves. But as I said, definitely exercise in various forms, okay? Doing meditation, having a prayer time, having a time of quiet every day, even when you're in the house, lockdown, okay? You need to separate yourself from the rest of the family. Husbands need and wives need to also have their own me time. So that allows the body to heal. Okay, of course, you have to find what is it that relaxes you. Okay, and I'm not talking of imbibing substances, okay, because that can also lead to substance abuse. Okay, so yes, a glass of wine in the evening might be fine, but you don't want to go and get drunk every day because you say, oh, that relaxes me, and father says that's good for my immune system. No, I'm not talking of substance abuse. I'm talking of find ways of relaxing, which could be the TV, which could be music, which could be chatting with friends, okay, but also keeping me time. When you're away from the family, you just shut everything out, and either with your iPod, your phone, earphones, finding time for yourself. Many people find prayer very relaxing. Many people find just sitting and doing nothing. So these are some other ways of relaxing. Okay, there is another question. What to do when a person is under stress but is not ready to accept it? Okay, so this goes back to my earlier thing. We cannot sort of impose our judgment. Yes, we would think that I think the person under stress but is not willing to accept it. I think one can just have some pleasant conversation, no accusations, no trying to say, no, no, you are under stress and you need to go and see a doctor. Okay. It's always by invitation, asking people, do you think that, you'd like to talk about what you're going through? And many people may not want to talk about what they're going through. So we have to leave them as it is. So, especially in family members, it's very difficult. And people it's very difficult among family and friends when you can see a person going through stress, but that person is not aware of it. The person is not ready to accept it and not ready to take the means necessary to alleviate that stress. But after you've tried a little bit of conversation, a little bit of allowing them to speak, there is nothing much we can do. We can only pray for them that, they become aware of what they are going through. Uh, Stress is caused due to mood swings in menopause women, not only women, also for men. Okay. And given the situation, how could such women explain her behavior in different situations to family and friends? Okay. I think a lot of women today have become very comfortable with when they are stressed to tell family and friends, okay, I'm going through that time of the month, okay, when they are having their periods, or when it's menopause time to say, okay, I'm going through a difficult situation. I'm going through a physiological situation in my body, and therefore it is causing me to have new mood swings and to swing between these extremes. And so please have a little patience with me. So I think it's okay to be able to say that, yes, I'm going through menopause, or to put it in whatever different language, and so that your partner and your family understands what you're going through. I hope that answers that question.
Roy, probably we could take the last question.
Yes. Okay. So that's a good idea. The last question: why a person is stressed though he is healthy and fine? Okay. So as I said, stress is an inherent part of the human way of life. Okay. It helps us when we need it. It is only when it becomes extreme. So you could be healthy, you could be fine, but your mind could be stressing about certain things. Okay. And as I said, we need stress. That's called use stress, the good stress. We need that, and we need to work on that. And we need to get rid of the extra stress. So, yes, as the question says, you could be healthy and fine, and you could be stressed, and you need to know how much you're stressed and whether that's good stress or you need to work on it. So, I'm going to, with the questions, we are going to close. You can always visit my channel and put any questions there if you have, or you can write to me. And I'm once again grateful to the Bombay Jesuit Media team, to Arun, Sumit, yesterday Joy, and all the others who are putting this lovely series of lectures together. Okay, and so please visit that YouTube channel also, the Bombay Jesuits YouTube channel, and you have a lot of good lectures already there, and they might put up something more. So thanks to you guys. Thanks to all those who have come in and been part either on Zoom or on YouTube. And I'm grateful to all. And let us pray for one another, and let us truly pray that we have a stress-free life and that COVID may end soon. Over to you.
Uh, Thank you, Dr. Roy, for that wonderful presentation, especially for the last 2 days. And I hope and wish that all of us would remain much more healthy during this time, and we get back in a better way, into a better environment, into a better way of life after this COVID. Uh, so I hope this might not be the last series of sessions, but we might not have anything planned immediately. So we might take a short break for some point of time. Uh, so I hope and wish that All of you have a good evening, good night, and a wonderful days ahead. So thank
Okay,
you.
and I'm happy to receive feedback. Okay, so please, in the YouTube channel on Bombay Jesuits, if you want to give any feedback about the session, please do it there because then I can read it later. Thanks, Arun. Take care. God bless.
Thank you. Thank you.